Welcome to this short video that will cover how to add a prepaid usage item to a customer's subscription in NetSuite using the Zone Advanced Billing module provided by Zone & Company. So prepaid usage is different than count or consumption usage in that the customer is prepaying for the units before they consume it, and that could be dollars as well. So the challenge here for a lot of companies is being not just getting the bill out at the beginning of the contract, but being able to recognize the revenue for what's used. And then at the end of that period, after they've used up the number of units or dollars that they've prepaid for, being able to then bill them for bursting or overages or potentially selling them another bundle. So let's go into NetSuite and take a look at a use case. So we're starting here on the subscription record for a customer named Absolute Inc. This is a year-long contract. I currently have 2 services on this contract, and we're going to add one more for our prepaid usage. So I'm now linking into the native NetSuite Item Master, and I'm choosing a SKU that I have called Prepaid Usage. We can see that some of the required fields are now populated. We can set up those defaults from the Item Master within NetSuite. So we are now using a rate type of prepaid item quantity. We also have another use case that's prepaid item amount, but in this case the scenario is the customer is prepaying for units, and we can use our use case from other videos where they're prepaying for gigabytes. So to configure this, first we have to tell NetSuite how many units they're prepaying for. So let's choose 10,000, and we'll say that's at a rate of $5. Now, we also have a prepaid unit rate, and really this is telling the system when I create offset charges that decrement against that 10,000 for usage, do I want to use the same rate that I billed them for or potentially a different rate? We'll keep it the same for simplicity's sake. We also are now telling NetSuite how many units do they get for the amount that they're paying for. So in a lot of cases, the units are the same, but we've seen some customers make this quantity 1, this is a dollar amount, and maybe the quantity or the units they get are very different. We also have the opportunity to say, do we want to bill overages once they consume these 10,000 gigabytes? Do we want that to be in a tiered scenario where we use a price book like we've seen in other videos? Or do we just want to have a flat amount that's billed to them? And that's what I'm going to use today. So we'll just say anything over 10,000 then gets billed at $8 per gigabyte. All right, so we also want to tell NetSuite that we're going to be bringing usage in monthly and rating it monthly. Even though the prepaid amount is going to be billed one time up front. So let's go ahead and save this and look at the billing events or charges that the subscription item will create. So I'll just drill back into this service. So Zone Advanced Billing has now created charges into the future that are all at $0. We can see that there's going to be one bill that goes out for the service dates 9/1 to 8/31 for the year for 10,000 units at a dollar amount of 50,000, and that bill is going to go out today at the beginning of the contract on 9/1. Now let's bring in some usage and see how the system will calculate that they already have a credit of 10,000 units, and then we'll bring in some more usage to see how we can then bill the overages once they consume all 10,000. So this line right here is basically tracking the volume that they have left, the number of gigabytes that they have. So at this point we can start to bring usage into the system to have it decrement against the 10,000. We can be recognizing revenue for what they've consumed while not sending them an invoice, and then after they've consumed all 10,000 we can then start invoicing them for any bursting charges. So let's go ahead and add some usage, and we have 2 options to do that. We can drop down on setup and do an import-export of a CSV record like we've done in other videos, or in this case what I'm going to do is I'm just going to manually add a usage record. Alright, so I'm going to input this for the end of September, and we'll make the quantity 6,000. We'll go ahead and save that. At this point I can now rate. Now in a real world scenario we would be bringing in usage via an API or a CSV upload, and we would be rating across all of our subscriptions so we could get our invoicing and our revenue recognition correctly. I'm just focusing now on this one subscription item by rating this particular use case. So we should get a notification here when it's complete. Great. So if I scroll down, we can see that there's been 2 charges that have been added. We have one for the 6,000. That would be $30,000 if they had not prepaid. But since we have this unit adjustment of 10,000, it's saying, well, we know they still have 10,000 left. Let's decrement 6,000 as an offset, and we'll net these two charges to zero. So we have a setting that can basically allow you to ignore $0 charges. So nothing would happen to the customer unless you wanted to. We could potentially send an invoice that just shows their balance of 4,000 potentially, but in a lot of cases companies don't want to send anything unless they then use up all 10,000. So let's briefly go back to our usage record. I'm just going to drill into this. Let's create one more and let's use up all 10,000. So let's just make a copy here, and let's assume that at the end of October they used 5,100. Okay. So if I now go back to my subscription item and I rate it again after the usage has been brought in and linked to this subscription item, we should see overage of 1,100. Okay, so if I scroll down, again, Zone Advanced Billing knew that there was 4,000 left, so it's creating a charge of 20,000 with an offsetting negative 20,000. But it's taking the overages and saying, okay, they've now gone into bursting. Let's now bill them a quantity of 1,100 gigabytes was the unit of measure in this example, and so they are going to get an invoice on 11/1 for $8,800. So this was a fairly straightforward use case of prepaid usage. Please let us know if you want to see more complex scenarios where we use the replenishment of usage or maybe unit expiration or even rollover if you have those particular scenarios. Thanks for watching.